Intelligence. The province has arrested 88 suspects linked to 62 cases of kidnapping and rescued 77 victims of kidnapping during the period under review.
Mtombeni adds a multi-pronged response system is in place to deal with the issue.
We are able to deploy the technology resources from Business Against Crime South Africa links to the security industry as we utilize the security officers as a force multiplier when conducting the takedowns for the majority of the operations for these kidnappings.
We move to the courts where a Sangoma charged with human trafficking and the premeditated murder of a 2-year-old child has told the Vanderbijl Magistrates Court today that he intends to apply for bail. Earlier this week, Sibukwane Khwanyana told the court that he is guilty. At the time, the court dismissed his application as it was not time to address a plea. Khwanyana and the child's mother are believed to have sold the child last year. Relebogile Mabotja is in court.
Vanderbijl Park community members filled the public gallery. Outside, a small group of the neighborhood safety GBV brigades were picketing, singing that 2-year-old Kutlwano Shalaba is not resting well. The child's mother reported him missing in November last year. A few days later, she was arrested for his disappearance. It's the state's case that Kinelwe Shalaba received 75,000 rand on the day her son went missing. Her co-accused Sibukwane Khwanyana was arrested a week ago. Police believe the Sangoma was an accomplice in the toddler's disappearance. On the day of his arrest, police say he revealed where the child's body was buried in Beggersdal. Today, his legal representative, Gladmo Nyamanda, says Khwanyana has decided to apply for bail.
We had agreed with the state for the 25th of June.
The 2 suspects will remain in custody until their next appearance later this month. Relebogile Mabotja, Eyewitness News, Vanderbijl Park Magistrates Court.
Staying in the courts, the 2 suspects arrested in connection with the murder of IFP MP Ketamabala Sithole are appearing in the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court today. Sithole was shot and killed last week during a meeting at the Biafuti hostel in Katlehong in the East Rand. Following the incident, a task team was established to probe the shooting, which also left 2 others injured. The IFP has been pushing its call for police to bring those responsible for the suspected assassination to book. Police spokesperson Mavela Masonda says the suspects were taken in for questioning earlier this week.
2 suspects have been arrested and charged with murder and 2 counts of attempted murder following the incident which took place at Biafuti Hostel in Katlehong on the 31st of May 2025 at about 5:30 in the afternoon.
Joburg Mayor Dada Morero has announced the formation of the city's bomb squad, a team headed by ANC veteran Snooki Zikalala. The task team consists of seasoned public servants brought in to rescue the metro from its current state of decline. Its main objective is to oversee and ensure the effective implementation of the city's service delivery plans. Morero formally launched the bomb squad and introduced its members during a media briefing held in Soweto today. Alfra Mushana is there.
ANC Veterans League President and former SABC Head of News Snooki Zikalala has been given the challenging responsibility of helping restore Johannesburg to its former glory. Mayor Dada Morero has unveiled a team of public servants who will work alongside Zikalala as part of the city's newly formed bomb squad.
Members of the Johannesburg bomb squad will comprise of Mr. Blake Lefatula, Mr. Mavela Dlamini, former city manager and executive of the city of Johannesburg, Mr. Trevor Fowler, former city manager of Johannesburg and executive.
Most of these officials are already employed in Johannesburg or other municipalities. Morero says Zikalala will be the only member receiving a salary, while the rest of the team is volunteering their services. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Soweto.
And in Australia, prosecutors for a woman accused of murdering her relatives with beef Wellington says she measured the toxic mushrooms she put in the food. Erin Patterson is alleged to have documented herself using kitchen scales to calculate a legal dose of the wild fungi. The 50-year-old's in-laws, 70-year-old Don and Gail Patterson, as well as Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, all fell ill and died days after the lunch. Under cross-examination, Patterson admitted she had foraged for wild mushrooms in the 3 months before the July 2023 lunch, despite telling police and health officials she didn't. She has pleaded not guilty to killing her victims and attempting to murder another at her home in Victoria, saying it was a tragic accident. Gold's trading at $3,422 and $3,400.22 an ounce. The rand's at 17.74 to the dollar, at 24.09 to the pound, at 20.28 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $65.17 a barrel.
On our roads in the city of Johannesburg, we've got some stop-and-go traffic, really. The carriageway has been closed. It's a crime scene in Sandton, still active and still causing heavy delays, stretching as far back as Randburg. Alternative routes, you'd have to use Witkoppen Road, Northumberland Avenue, M1 heading north. You could even use Rivonia Road. Please drive safely. And then in the city of Johannesburg, Kuruleni, multi-vehicles still persisting at the Elands interchange, N3 and 17 heavy. From all approaches, please drive with ease.
A look at your weather. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng. Today, temperatures are peaking at highs of 18 and 19 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. Gauteng police say despite improved efforts to fight crime in the province, incidents of kidnapping remain stubborn.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Entries to the 702 Walk the Talk are open. Go to primemediaplus.com to get your tickets today.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Eight minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to 702 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, and I am so excited. What a great day it is indeed. It is Youth Month, and we are doing something super special today on 702 Afternoons. If you did not hear it where I said I want to, for this month, have young people to come through, young radio talent to come through and just get an opportunity to be on air, to just get the feel, not get their toes wet. I'm pushing them in the deep end. And then on top of that, I'm throwing them in the ocean into this broadcasting thing. So I'm so excited. It is our very first 702 Afternoons Youth Takeover Thursday. And I said that we'd be having multiple on-air personalities or on-air roles. So we are starting today with a sports presenter role. And you might be thinking, but Relebogile, your show doesn't have sport. We are doing sport today. So we're going to introduce you to our very first youth that is taking over on the show. Our Belief Matters feature, we'll be talking to Gogo Hlanganisa, healer and co-host at Izigo Liga Gogo Nomkulu, about the Utsiki ceremony and what it is. Then we wrap up, as we do on a Thursday, with our consumer rights feature, Nola Knows. We're going to be unpacking a balloon payment case, but also getting feedback on a case that Wendy Nola has taken on. And then we open up the lines for all of your consumer rights features. So get in touch with us. 011 883 0702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 Afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It's a Youth Takeover Thursday, and talk radio stations don't really have opportunities like that where you try to, the lineup remains quite stable. But I thought it would just be so exciting, especially because I get so many DMs from people. Can I shadow you? Can I this? And we often have young people come and shadow us in studio. We won't talk about it on air. But today, and what we'll be doing every week, we'll also give an opportunity to a budding traffic presenter. We'll give an opportunity to a newsreader. And then we'll give an opportunity to a radio host. I'm excited. And today in particular, I want to introduce all of you to our very first youth who is taking over. our first sports presenter on 702 afternoons ever in the history of 702 because we don't do sport. Ruvarashi Marumo, welcome. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I am so fantastic and I'm just so excited that you are here. You have to kick off by telling us, how did you find out about what we're doing?
So my family, we all listened to 702 and my mom was driving. She's like, oh my gosh, Ruva, this is what I heard. And Relebogile made it very, very apparent that she's not going to post it on social media and you just have to know about it. So I was like, okay, I need to get this email address. I need to send in everything that's asked of me so that I can make sure I secure my spot to be one of the few people that are going to be chosen this month.
So you are how old?
I'm 18.
18 years, guys, 18 years old. But you are not a newbie to being a talent.
No.
Tell us about that journey.
So I've been acting for a long time. I don't even know since I was how old. And then only recently I started presenting. I did a show, Kids Newsroom, between 2023 and 2024. And so now this is kind of like my first time being on air on radio.
And that was at SABC?
Yes.
Okay, so why the interest in sport?
I don't know. I just feel like, to start off, there aren't many female sports presenters. And I felt like, you know what, this is something that I could possibly dabble in. It's quite exciting, quite interesting. Everything on radio actually is quite interesting. But for me, I was kind of like intrigued because I think it's something that where I could learn because maybe it's not something where I have as much knowledge in. So it's kind of like, okay, let's give it a try.
And I'm so excited about that because of the applications that we continue to receive and demos and things, there are very few. I would say sport is almost the smaller group of people that have put through. But we do have somebody that is here supporting you. And to everybody listening, please do send WhatsApp messages 072 702 and 702. Give a call. The purpose of what we are doing on 011 883 702 is to empower, to give an opportunity. She is going to do her very own first sports bully today on air, like the real deal, not like practice round. Like it is it. And we hope that all of you are going to share all of the love. In studio now is the mentor for the day.
Why do you say it like that?
Because I feel like everybody at EWN has a way where they're like, Alpha Ramoshwana.
Yes.
So you are telling them. So everyone at EWN has a thing.
Very true.
So you have a young mentee for the day.
Yes.
How have you just approached this whole process? Because firstly, it is not by accident that we chose a woman.
Okay.
Secondly, it is not by accident that it is you. But what is your approach in terms of mentoring? Because it's like a one-day thing. It's not that you're here for a week. It is deep end.
She will tell you that like the minute she walked in, I was like, so like, what are your interests? Because you're always trying to gauge what people like, what they don't like. That way, because we always get to the point where I say to them, write a mock bulletin.
Yes.
So once we get to the mock bulletin part, I'm like, that's why they were more interested in these things. Because we've already had the conversation. I've already I always say I don't like the, when you tell guys I like sports and then they ask you, who's got the winning goal in the 1975 World Cup? I don't know.
They really do.
So with her, I was just like, if I say to you, Cristiano Ronaldo, what club does he play at? Because I'm also trying to see because there are people that maybe just follow just football or follow all round sports. So that's how I do the engaging. So I know like how to direct the mentoring, what to teach her. But also, shame, it was such a short amount of time, but she's a quick learner. Very smart.
Listen, this is not dipping toes in water. We are throwing her in the most violent ocean at the moment and the water's freezing and it's storming. But please share with us because obviously we don't do sport on this show unless there's something that is happening. But what is required of a sport presenter? Because what some people are not aware of is different stations do things differently, not just with sport, where other people write the bullies for you.
Yes.
But share with us how we do it here and what the role requires.
So here at Eyewitness News, which is like the news agency for 702 and 947, with us, we're the ones that are in charge of fetching our own stories, cutting our own sound, sifting through the different websites, calling people to get our own stories and knowing what angles to take. So we're doing all of that. So when we get on air, it literally is us having done the work ourselves in order to give people the best, fresh and breaking news in terms of that. We're also aware of there are certain things that people want to talk about the whole day. With Rassie Erasmus now announcing his squad, we just also very focused on the Springboks. Bafana play tomorrow. National teams will take priority over other things. But things like the French Open, which are currently on the go, they're also important to still reflect. Then there are other little funny stories that I'll include. I think Vangeli knows more than anyone. I love a 5:30. Well, that's something you don't hear every day kind of story. It'll be like there was the one time where a club had posted how one of their players died, and then at the end of the game they were like, "Oh, our bad. He actually is very much alive."
Oh, that happened.
Yes, so
the club themselves,
they had to apologize. So I always say when I'm thinking of my bulletin, yes, I am catering to the sports person, but in the car, if everybody's driving home, I want someone to kind of go, okay, I'm going to listen to that, even though I have no idea. Yeah. So that's how I view sports. It doesn't just have to be for the purists. It can be just the people that are wanting to dip in and out, just enough to hold a conversation, but still be interested and come back.
And then in terms of the skill set, because a person can't just be doing bullies and speaking sport, you kind of, especially if you're going to be living on drive shows, got to be versatile enough to come on air. I've heard you many times engaging with Ndate John. So how do you balance all of that, which is the sportscaster part, the journalist part, and then the on-air personality part, where as an on-air personality, you can be like, "Oh, my team won," but you can't be reporting and being like, "Cheese won, woo!"
Listen, I had to come back to doing the afternoon bulletins the day after my team lost a Europa League final. It was not the best day. And people were sending me messages like, "You don't sound happy." I wasn't. Honestly, you realize that when you're on air, you're representing brand EWN.
Yes.
Off air, I can make fun. Like there are people in the company I've made bets with about the CAF Champions League final.
Really?
I've made some money this year because I told people Chiefs' drought was going to end. But I can do that off air. But I need to realize that once I kind of muddy the waters where I enter into banter with people that listen to the shows, it also takes away our credibility as a news organization. I'm just here to report the facts. Me as a fan kind of takes a backseat within that 5 minutes. I can do it off air, but I don't have to do it when I'm doing the bulletins.
So, Ruba, from your side, how have you decided you're going to approach this thing based on what she said of there's the sportscaster part of being credible and the part where people expect to get facts and not like you just being like, it was a terrible loss. Horrific loss
be fired.
for the team. Yes. How are you choosing to, because you also are a personality, how are you choosing to balance that?
I mean, I definitely agree. At the end of the day, people are listening to news for fact, not necessarily your opinion. And so as much as, yes, you might have your opinion, you might be like, I don't necessarily agree. You can't necessarily show it in your tone or in what you say. Because like I said, it's really just about what's actually going on, not what you think is going on, what you want to go on, or how you feel about whatever it is that you're reporting. You have to say it as it is, really.
And to Ruva's point, I always say that our job is to tell people stories, not to be the story. And that is something that you always have to keep in mind. Yes, Kaizer Chiefs need to fire so-and-so, and they need to get... When it comes to them being on a 10-game losing streak, it's not your job. You just simply say, it's 10 games here. The coaches try to justify why he needs to stay in the position. When you're with your friends, you can have those conversations.
Right.
But on air, we're expecting the professional. We're expecting the facts because it's up to the listener to make their own judgment about those stories.
Then the big one, I'm sure there are many young people listening who are also like, I would love to be a sports presenter or sportscaster. Can you do it without a journalism degree?
Some people have.
Yes.
But I would always say, Mbangeli will know, we both went to Voice of It. there is no better ground to learn on than doing either campus radio or your community radio stations. It's the place that allows you to try and fail, try different things. Because very often once you get into a commercial space, the system is already set up. You're just joining it. Where as opposed to having done it on campus and at community level, you've already figured out your voice. Michael Smurthwaite, someone who was there at the beginning of a lot of radio careers for those of us that went to Wits. I remember when I joined VOW, I think my third year, he said to me, it'll take you 18 months to find your radio voice because all you're hearing is like, oh, this person sounds great. I can do that. No, the minute that mic is turned on, your volume is here and someone has to say to you.
The first thing she said is, why did the sound change with the headphones? It changed.
It was those little things. And then also you're thinking, okay, my favorite presenter sounds this way. I have to copy them. And then you realize you're not supposed to sound like someone else. You must find your own unique voice. So you can't do it without a journalism degree, but the degree, it helps you understand why we go about certain things. What are the important things that you're searching for in a story? Yes, a team or an organization can invite you to a kit handover.
Yes.
But if there's no important player, what is the hook? Why should people want to read about it? Why should they want to know? So you have to be aware of those little things that you must be looking out for. And also it helps you understand where your integrity lies, what things you should be looking out for. Because just because source A says these are the facts, you can't just go on air and say, well, we have it on the record that SAFA are not doing A, B, C, and D. You have to give SAFA right of reply. And those are the things that you learn when you're doing your journalism degree.
So you being in a commercial radio station, how do you select the stories you want to put on air? Because there's the parts that are obvious are like national, World Cup and all of those things. But we also have some underrepresentation in terms of the minority sporting codes. We have all of those things. So how do you find the balance? Because you if people were to see our WhatsApp line, they will just have a hilarious of a time.
Yes.
Why are you telling us about soccer? And others are like, you're not telling us enough about soccer.
Yes.
So how do you select, especially because the time for sport presenters is so short?
There was a guy where we were playing a polo cup. He was like, South Africa won. Why aren't you talking? Guys, sometimes there are so many stories.
Did you report on the sheep shearing?
I did report on that. You see, even things like that. And somebody else was probably listening to the bulletin and going, how is that a sport?
Yes.
But I think the joy with EWN is that at least if we don't have it on air, we'll reflect it on the website. So even if you feel like you guys aren't talking enough about this, actually go check out the website. There's a reason at the end of the news bulletin, we say go to ewn.co.za because not all of the stories will be on bulletins, or you may have missed the bulletin that we actually did cover that and we have to move to the next story. It's hard to find a balance because yes, you want to give that person that's asking, guys, please help me raise funds to go compete at this event for the very first time ever.
Oh, and we get those messages every day.
But if there's another team that's already won the event, am I saying I'm going to pick you over the team that's already done it throughout all odds? The balance is difficult to strike, but that's why we use all of the platforms that we have. We've also had opportunities where some of the stories have been really interesting in the bulletins or online that the shows have picked them up. So we try to use this whole metaverse that we have to pick up on every little thing. Guys, sometimes we're going to disappoint you, but we're just human at the end of the day.
And the amazing thing is now there's social media, so you can even build a little platform for yourself where you report on the things that you are passionate about. So this is how things are going to work. Are you guys ready to hear what's going to happen? So we've got about 6 minutes before we go to the news. Because 702 Afternoons does not have sport, we are customizing for today. So we're going to do at 1:30, I take us to news. Straight from news, we go to Mvangeli for traffic. And straight from traffic, I'm going to introduce e-youth for sport. Okay, right. And then you're going to do your bully. Whatever happens, you keep going. Your mentor will be here. So when we come back after the ad breaks, she gives feedback. And the reason she's giving you feedback, because then the next sport bully in the second hour, you are on your own.
Right.
Right? You are fully on your own.
Yep.
Okay, so she'll give feedback. I'm already seeing so much love coming through on the WhatsApp line. Keep the messages coming because it's really, really important. I actually wish we could do this more often, but we are starting somewhere. So what are you most nervous about?
Shoo, I think I speak quite fast. And so I really have to remind myself, Riva, take your time, or else I'm going to stumble over my words. So I'm scared that I'm going to butcher a lot of words. That's
valid.
probably it, yeah.
That's valid. Final tips before she does her very first sport bully.
There's no master of pronunciation, contrary to what people will tell you.
Real.
Because trust me, I've gone on videos where a player will pronounce it in their native tongue and you're like, mine doesn't do that.
Yes.
With the South African names, that one we can work it out. But sometimes you will stumble, especially over the East European names. But also have fun. It's sport, guys. No one dies in our bulletins. I always say that's the big advantage. We're here to celebrate. We're here to enjoy it. We say, after all of the dark things, here's this little thing that should bring you joy. So have fun with it.
So I would then say, after we give feedback, and she's going to go upstairs with you, prepare a fresh bully, but you guys can decide if you want to do the same one and tweak it, or if you're like, I got this, I'm going to bring a new bully. It's up to you. You will go upstairs to where EWN is so you can have the experience and the part of, okay, it's time to go to studio because it's 1:30, because also you want to listen to the news. Sometimes the main headlines have sport news in them, so you also don't want to be disconnected. And then,
Showtime.
yeah, it will be showtime. Vangeli, you also have been a student and done this whole thing. What tips would you have for our sport presenter?
Yeah, I mean, Tolagala just said it. We used to work together. In fact, we worked on a show, a sports show, the Sports Hub together. So we co-hosted a show on air, campus radio. And I think the important thing is understanding that this is teamwork. And Tolagala says you need to check your sources and so forth. Having a contact base. And that's basically any journalist, they should have that. Have a notepad where you've got everyone's number, from technical directors in sports to the athletes themselves, coaches. That's very important for you because that's how you improve your bulletins.
Right.
All the best.
So I might throw a curveball at you because it's live broadcasting, right? So question, Tologole, and also to Mvangeli. What happens when there's breaking news or last minute things related to your respective things? Because it also happens with us where breaking news are happening, but if it is a sport related, so that could be anything from an important sports person has passed on. It could be that we qualified. It could, like, how do you deal with breaking sport news?
It's so funny you say that. I remember I think it was a Wednesday or the Thursday, Jose Ribeiro announced that he's leaving Orlando Pirates. I'd already done my 3:30 bulletin. And I was doing like my final Twitter check before I went out. And Pirates is had breaking news. John had already gotten the copy of the bulletin. So you take like you reading as you're walking down, you're reading it and you're just like, okay, the most important thing, he's leaving immediately. This is the club he's going to. This is what he's achieved. We'll come back in the next hour with more detail. Because also you at that point, because you've also followed the story for a long time, you already know what the key points are. This is what they're fighting for this season. Sometimes you just need those 1, 2, 3 facts just to keep them in mind. So even if on the script it's not written well, you have the important parts written there.
Yes.
And unfortunately, you just have to take a deep breath and just go with it. No one can hear that you're panicking. No one can hear that, oh my goodness, I didn't include this. That's why you have the other bulletins to add the meat, to re-angle, to try out different sides.
Okay, so we will do a surprise breaking news for you in the next one. Nah. And this is the trick. There's a reason we always have our cell phones on us. Okay. There's a reason I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screens in front of me, because at any moment, and we've got the 2 TV screens. So even for me, if we see on the news channels that's Bani passed away, I can say, ooh, it looks like so-and-so has passed away. EWN will give more. And then somebody upstairs is like, what? And then they have to do it. All right.
Okay.
So it is almost time. Are you ready?
I guess I am.
It's
I have
do
to be.
or die, baby girl. And they've showed you how to sign out. I am so excited. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 1:30. Time for your latest and eyewitness news headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. KwaZulu-Natal police say they are not willing to conduct an investigation based on speculation following allegations that the man who housed the main suspect in the Olorato Mongale case is part of a kidnapping syndicate. The main suspect, Pilangenkosi Makhanya, was shot and killed by officers at a complex in Amazimdoti in the south of Durban last week following a manhunt for his arrest over Mongale's murder. 30-year-old Mongale was reported missing last month after going on a date with a man she'd recently met, and her body was later found at Lombardy West in Johannesburg a day later. New information has now emerged that the man who is a tenant in the apartment where Makhanya was killed was also part of the syndicate targeting girls. Gauteng police says despite improved efforts to fight crime in the province, incidents of kidnapping remain stubborn. Provincial Police Commissioner Tomim Tumbeni delivered the fourth quarter crime statistics for the 2024-2025 financial year today. He says kidnappings increased by more than 15% during this period. And China's foreign ministry says it opposes politicizing education cooperation. This comes at the back of U.S. President Donald Trump's suspension of foreign students seeking to study or participate in exchange programs at Harvard University for 6 months. The White House claimed Harvard was the top overseas party school for Chinese Communist Party officials. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 2 o'clock or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
A very good afternoon. We start in the city of Johannesburg with an update from Sandton. Active crime scene appears to have been neutralized because there's an improvement now. Delays only between Winnie Mandela Drive and Rivonia Road off-ramp. This is on the November 1 N1 heading north, so please expect heavy delays. Budget at least an extra 20 minutes. Have those time constraints on Winnie Mandela Drive. This is leaving Winifred Mandela Precinct. That's heading from Main Road past the N1 carriageway, past this is Leslie Avenue until you get to Witkoppen Road. Appears to be an incident, bumper-to-bumper collision. Good news coming out of Ekurhuleni is that incident has been neutralized at the Airlines interchange. However, heavy delays still remain, while in the nation's capital, we've got traffic lights out and causing problems in Clubview, Littleton Road and Von Veilig, R55 and Thatchfield, as well as in Capital Park, Paul Kruger and Flower Street. Next traffic update will be in 32 or as it happens.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. EWN Sport.
And time for the very first time, EWN Sport. We've got 18-year-old Duvarashe Marumo. What's happening?
Good afternoon. My name is Ruvarashe Marumo. Starting in Europe, it comes at no surprise that Cristiano Ronaldo scored the winning goal last night against Germany in the National League semi-final in Munich, with the final score being 2-1 to Portugal. Bringing it back home, Banyana Banyana take it home, with the team winning the Three Nations Challenge Trophy on Tuesday with a 2-0 win over Zambia. Coach Desiree Ellis says that they are right on track to defend WAFCON. In other news, Sasha Feinberg Ngomezulu does it again. By being crowned the SA Vodacom URC Player of the Season, he has added yet another significant accolade to his Rugby Player of the Year award at only age 23. Springbok coach Rossi Erasmus names the 54 players who will gear up for the opening stages of the international season, which kick off on the 28th of June against the Barbarians. And lastly, Novak Djokovic makes a comeback win over Alexander Zverev to now make his way over to the French Open semi-finals to go head-to-head with Yannick Sinner, becoming the oldest French Open semi-finalist in 57 years. My name is Ruvarashe Marumo, and this was EWN Sport.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
High-profile fugitives, like the Guptas, like the Bushiris, have exposed cracks in the extradition system. The NPA continues to hobble along following a series of bungles and losses in the courts. Is our justice system working?
You've got high-profile cases that are a bit of a challenge.
A simple question, ministers, what are we afraid of?
I think what we are suffering from, and we would take that as government cognizance to that, is communication.
Minister Kubai.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
If your skin's feeling a little flat this winter, bring it back to life with Malachi Organics. From the SPF 40 moisturizing sunscreen that protects even on cloudy days to the collagen booster serum that firms and smoothens It's skincare that really works. The 3-in-1 Total Maintenance Scrub Mask cleanses, exfoliates and hydrates, while the Youth Plumping Organic Honey Mask gives your skin a rich, radiant glow. Shop online at malakaiorganics.com or find them on Macro Online. Follow at Malachi_organics on Instagram for more.
After school snacks, a bag of chips or maybe some biscuits, instant noodles for lunch. Ultra-processed products such as these may be high in sugar, salt, or saturated fat. Having too much of these products could lead to diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. Our health is in danger. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels now. Sign the petition on healer.org. HEALA.org.
To the itchy, watery eyes, the cough, the sniff and sneeze, and the hives, we say unite against allergies.
Once a day, keeping those allergies far away. Sniffs and sneezes out of our way. We're feeling better with Damazin once a day.
For 24-hour allergy relief, speak to your pharmacist about Damazin. Damazin gets it done.
Every small business owner knows that you got to dream big to achieve even bigger. And Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 understands that it takes guts and determination to show up for your customers and expand your business and your bottom line. That is why we're looking for all the SMEs of Gauteng that dare to reinvent, expand, and shake things up. You could win 200,000 Rand in cash and a 200,000 Rand advertising package to help you chase your small business dreams. So, if you're a small business that dares to level up, enter on igniteyourbusiness.co.za for Nedbank Business Ignite on 702. T's and C's apply. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja.
23 minutes to 2 o'clock. The very first sport presenter has done her very first sport bulletin, but we say bully. It's a more industry turn. Guys, how are we feeling about our baby?
So proud. So very, very proud.
You did so well. 011 883 0702. The WhatsApp line 072 702 on 702. I think we need to go to the listeners first before you. Let's go to hear from the listeners. Sebastian in Eldorado Park. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. He is a natural. Stunning. I am so impressed, taken aback. He sounded, I'm left with no words. Absolutely stunning. That job is for you. You take it and you go with it. Absolutely. It's the first time I hear you on radio and you are natural. So keep it up. Great stuff, guys. Thank you.
Oh, Sebastian from Eldorado Park, thank you so much for the call, some of your WhatsApp messages. Lebo and your team, Miss Marumo, they are my thumbs up of approval. She presented that sport bulletin like a pro. Another one, Relebogile, bravo. She creamed it. Halala. Tolagala's job is on the line. She needs to watch out. This is from Sim. Another person says, I employ that young woman already. Matthew in Germiston. Hi, Lebo. She was absolutely amazing. Nerves are a sign of you being alive. You go, girl. Another person says, key thing to do in sport, own the stories. Don't just read them. There is potential, but don't read. As you become a seasoned sport reporter and presenter. Another one says, nailed it. Yes, girl. You are such a natural. Another person says, thank you, Relebogile, for helping our youth to shine. Listening to you and your team makes me feel like I'm having a chit chat and a glass of wine with the girls. Bring the wine, babes, because it ain't here. And she's only 18, so we are not bringing wine. Another person says, I'm in learning and development, so this is so close to my heart. Mentoring and coaching and being on the floor. You got this, girl. You speak so well. Breathe. Please remember that in making mistakes, we are learning, and learning is a journey, but you look stunning and you got this. Love from Lerato. So if you're like, where are people watching? Guys, we're streaming live on YouTube. Head over to where it says 702 Afternoons with Relebogile Mabotja. We are live on the Radio 702 channel, and we've got your voice notes coming through on 072 702 1702.
Good afternoon. Yeah, the sports presenter. I just want to give him some starting. Sunday it's Comrade Marathon. So let she do some research and then tell us more about comrades, because I've done 12 and then I failed to qualify for the past 2 years. But next year, definitely sure I will be going down. The good news is that I'm gonna get my goodie bag there and my cap. I love those caps and also the t-shirt. So I'll be watching from home. It's Clement in Mamelodi. Thank you. Bye.
Relebogile bona. Dumela, and the listeners of 702. Bona, this is where changes are. This is where changes are done. The 702 team, well done. This is good. This is good. Let's hear those young people. Let's see what they can give to us. Releboge, man. This is nice.
Afternoon, Relebogile. Can you ask your guest there? Why does she always sound like she's laughing? I like her voice, and that laughing, I don't know how she do it, but it makes me feel so much to feel at ease. Why is it like that? Is it how she is, or is it because she's behind the mic? Thank you.
Good day, Relebogile and your team. I think this is a good initiative to our kids, and this is very motivating. Yeah, even my daughter, man, is very what can I say? She want to be a traffic report because she's so Vangeli is her role model, man. We want to present a traffic. So, but yeah, I love what you are doing today on this show. Bye.
Guys, good afternoon. I have goosebumps listening to that little girl. I have tears in my eyes. Oh. Wow. I'm proud of her. Thank you.
Ayeye tholakele mkhanga ayeye Tsidi Madia ayeye the star is born radio 702. Big up to you, Relebogile. Yeah, Chimo Mirolens.
Relebogile, it's Aria. I thought you guys were going to give the opportunity to students and not seasoned reporters there. Wink, wink.
Well done, young lady, on your first bulletin. It was nice to listen to. Keep it up.
Guys, I'm trying not to. I feel like I'm so emotional. Oh, yeah, like I'm getting teary. How do you feel hearing all of that?
Wow, overwhelmed in the best way. I did not think that there'd be that much positive feedback. Very shocked, but it's so lovely to hear.
All right, let's go back to school. Criticism, how are we improving?
I would just say add a little bit of context, but I think that comes with time when you're doing Portugal beats Germany 2-1, but what does it mean? What's the competition? Stuff like that.
Yes.
Are there any records that were broken? But apart from that, little things you learn across as you go along, because you're trying to master your voice. You're trying to make the bulletin as interesting as possible while still adding your little personalities along the way. But that comes with time. There's no need to rush. You're going to learn as you go, but it's beautiful. And also, guys, why did Tsidi Madia catch a stray?
Tsidi Madia. Okay, so question. I'm making it your choice. Ruba, do you want to? Because you're going to have... let's say just under an hour. Do you want your next bully to be a fresh one, or do you want to tweak the one you have? It's your call.
I think I want to tweak it with the feedback that I've got.
Perfect.
Yes.
It will be your choice. You don't have to. You don't have to take everything listeners say it's up to you. If you want to add we're looking forward this weekend to comrades or whatever, it's up to you. So this is what I have decided here with your mentor, is that you're going to come down just before the news and we are going to give you the breaking news story. Okay. So we're going to we'll have our digital team recording. So you must be downstairs just before news around 25 past if you want to be comfortable. I'm going to give you the breaking news story, which means gal. And then also keep in mind, sometimes your presenter might interact with you. So if there's something that piques the interest. So the next one is the one. All right.
Got it.
You feeling good?
Feeling great.
Vangeli?
Yeah, just one last advice. You sound great, by the way. Speak as though you're speaking to one single pair of ears. And then it makes things much easier for you. Because once you start thinking, oh my gosh, people from Fosloras are listening, Santon is listening, then it can play into your head. But speak as though you're speaking to one pair of ears.
We have a wonderful voice trainer, Noreen Alexander. Where the first time you start with her, she's like, when you're doing your bulletin, who are you doing it for? And you're like, to so-and-so. She's like, no, just speak to that one person and speak to her. To the guy that asks, like, why I always laugh in the bulletin, because in my head, I'm always speaking to my mom. And she doesn't know sports. So when I'm telling the sport, I'm just like, I can imagine her going, I don't know what that is, but okay.
Yes. And I love the feedback you gave about context, because something that I, as a host, is you always have to assume that there's a person listening who doesn't know what you're talking about. So if, for example, there is a massive story in, I'm going to put up, let's say the Senzo Mayua murder trial. It's been going on for so long, but somebody could be tuning in for the first time and they don't know what you're talking about. So never assume people know certain information. Even acronyms, internal sporting language, where now you're saying love, and if a non-tennis, so
Because in your bulletin you said URC. A non-rugby person would be like, what is that? So you have to say the United.
Also say Lento.
Yes. We're learning. We are all learning today. So you have to say United Rugby Championship then as you move along. And then also play around with like nicknames, Springboks, double world champions, the Boks, stuff like that. But have fun with it.
Well done, girlie. School is not done. I will see you in 45 minutes. You may go.
Thank you.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
What are you looking to change? Do you want to change the words of the Constitution? Or do you want the legislation, for example, that governs access to housing to be reframed and changed?
We recognize that there is noble intent in the preamble when it says South Africa belongs to all who live in it. And we are a very diverse country, and I believe that the crafters of our Constitution bore that in mind when they made that determination. However, what we're seeing in South Africa is that there are many people who are not South Africans living in our country.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
Honey, what are you doing?
I'm stretching for tonight.
I thought you're not dancing at bachelorette parties anymore.
Baby, we need the money to put Johnny through matric mos.
And what's the police uniform for?
The clients feel safer when I wear it.
No, man, just sell your bucky to We Buy Cars. They give the best prices and they pay you within minutes.
Okay, but can I just go and dance one more time, please? You know how much I love it.
No, the buyer's already on his way here.
Wow, okay.
Strapped for cash? Just sell your vehicle to We Buy Cars. The easiest way to sell your car by far.
Don't let colds and flu slow you down. Adcock Ingram Winter Warriors is here. Your trusted defense against colds and flu symptoms. Be prepared for everything winter throws your way. Fight the pain and fever with Panado or Compro. Relieve your sore throat and coughs with Cepacol. And guard your immune system and gut with Gummy Bites and Probiflora. Adcock Ingram Winter Warriors. Your defense starts here. Ask your pharmacist about Adcock Ingram Winter Warriors.
Are you looking for the best savings on spectacles? At Specsavers, enjoy 1,500 Rand off when you get tested at South Africa's trusted and most established optical group. Get 1,500 Rand off all frames in store, or use your 1,500 Rand off on our leading lens enhancements, such as drive light lenses that reduce artificial glare whilst driving. Book online or call your nearest store today. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
702 and Absa Home Loans are bringing to light the property ownership matters you want to know about. Here's what we discussed.
One of the things I'd like to encourage the listeners is to get as much insights as possible. I mean, one of the property insights reports that we've recently released, which is the HSI, which is the Absa homeowner, that then drives that consumer insights that they can then be able to get into. So we've got our website where they can then be able to go into, which is propertyinsights.absa.co.za. In there, they can then be able to get the insights. What it does, it also then gives them a reflection of how consumers are feeling about buying, about selling, and also about investing and renovating.
The Masterclass with Relebogile Mabotja, brought to you by Absa Home Loans on 702. T's and C's apply. Absa is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. NCR CP7.
702.
Belief matters.
Exploring culture, traditions, religion,
and the beliefs that shape our world.
10 minutes to 2 o'clock, Belief Matters time. And you can also send through all of the beliefs, cultures, religions you're curious about to 702 afternoons at 702.co.za. Today we're talking about the Utsiki ceremony. What is it? We're joined by healer and co-host at Izigo Liga Gogo Nomkulu Gogo Hlanganisa. And we take your calls with your questions. 011 883 702 in the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Gogo Togoza.
Thokozani Mtomdala, how are you doing?
I'm
And
doing
thank you for this
well.
opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming through. Please share with us, what is the Utsiki ceremony?
Utsiki comes at the tail end of a marriage process on the Xhosa culture. It is when a wife is being welcomed to the family, and Utsiki is not just the eating of amasi and the piece of meat. It signifies the importance and the role of the bride-to-be. Abangumama womntu womzi. And it goes into the many duties that the wife needs to adhere to. The behavior of her post Ekide Utsiki, how she dresses up, how she represents herself, how she carries the family name wherever she goes. So it is a cementing of you are moving away from being a young woman into a role of being a wife, a future mother, forming part of a community of other women who are also wives in that community.
So
Yes.
let's talk about the specific ritual itself. Talk us through what that looks like.
On the day Chakazi engena emzini. Oh, I must speak English. On the day the lady
I love how, because I was also like, I do my best to translate, but I know there are a specific Xhosa words you're going to use where there's no English version. So I'm going to...
like an equivalent of his gaze.
Exactly.
So when you get married, you are welcomed by the women of the tribe and the neighbors into the motherland. The family will have slaughtered either a goat or a sheep. A portion of the meat will be fed to you, and amasi, it's called sour milk, but ngamasi, and you are given that to symbolize, or a cut over of, you are no longer a daughter to your parents. You are now a wife in this new family you are joining.
So in terms of, you said the woman of the community, we know that it is not unusual to have elders that are women baholaye. What is holaya in English?
You've been given advice on how to carry yourself as a new wife, a new woman in this role that you are transitioning into, where you need to carry yourself with a different behavior, different actions. As we are evolving, we've moved away from a woman not being allowed to drink, a woman not being allowed to smoke. All of those things will be explained that the husband found you doing these following things. However, in this home, we're not saying don't do them anymore. Can you do them discreetly? Because you must still continue with your own life.
Yes.
The way you carry yourself post Utiki carries you, and you also represent your family where you come from, to say, Dilayiwe, I've been advised at home how to carry myself, how to never disgrace my maternal side of my family. Izinyanya zakokwethu, they must see me as umntu okhulisiwe kakuhle. I'm speaking a lot of Xhosa, not English.
It's okay, but I think for me the main thing that I wanted to understand is how different is that part, as in what is happening with the Utsiki ceremony in Xhosa and the process of Holaya in Sepedi, Setswana, and all of those things. Like how are they different?
Those things are part of all the African rituals where uzotya utsiki, uthathwe usiwe endlini nabo mama qha.
So you are being brought into and initiated into going from being Ichichi, a virgin girl, into being a wife, and on top of that, you are being guided on what the next part of this journey is going to look like.
Definitely, and then you're also given clothing that you're gonna be wearing for a while, so that you are introducing your new self to everybody that sees you, that this young woman is now someone's wife. She's a representative or an extension of a new family. She's carrying all her ancestors from the maternal to the new family. Utsiki also is to welcome umakoti into the family, to say to the ancestors, we now have a new member of the family. You need to look after her as well.
Okay. That definitely comes together. Does the mother-in-law participate in this?
She is meant to be there because Naye, when it was her turn, her mother-in-law should be there to say, she's going to be my daughter-in-law. These are the things I would love for us to work on together. Like, you are holding my hand into this new role. It is like a transfer of skill. Hence why umuntu uma ingena emshadweni uyayala ukuthi la ekhaya imithetho yala ekhaya are A and B and C. Kwakho, when you are with your husband, you can wear ibhlukwe, but if ula ekhaya uzawunxiba isketi and be respectful.
So let me quickly translate. So as you are being welcomed into your new home, your new family, this is how we do things here. And we are now welcoming you, not just in terms of you being a new wife, but being a wife in this particular family, how you're supposed to be appropriately behaving, dressed, within certain times. And I know that I'm very hyper summarizing it, but just to give the essence, because we will never get the direct translation accurately. Gogo, how has this ceremony evolved over the years? What are you seeing? Are you observing that people still, Xhosa clans and tribes still fully follow it? Or are you seeing that, especially with Christianity being sometimes in conflict with cultural practices, that it is dying off? Or are you seeing that actually it is still being practiced in our country?
Hypothetically, a couple who do not follow culture skip stages of utsiki, that lady cannot partake in the duties of umchato. If Ustela did not eat utsiki, I can't partake in assisting in other families within the community because andukyanga utsiki. So Christianity is diluting or erasing the importance of why these cultural practices had to be upheld. As a wife, if I don't eat utsiki, I can't do rituals zasekhayeni because I was never introduced to amanye izinyanye zakulo mzi. So isiko can never be superseded by education and learning. It must be maintained for the duration of our lives on earth because we honor those that came before us. We give reverence to izinyanya zakokwethu when we follow culture. When Christianity says stop doing these things because they are backward or it's no longer relevant as time is evolving, culture can be amended. However, we can't do away with it because izinyanya controls our being. At Iziko, we discuss the reasons why when we depart from these things, divorces become an increase because we've moved away from honoring one who came before us. So culture stays regardless of changes in times, and no matter how westernized we get, Ubuntu remains as eternal as Okoko. We believe on the other side look after us. So when we depart from that, we are closing doors that we require for our existence as abantu abamnyama.
So question, Gogo, and we definitely have run out of time, is what if would this whole ceremony still happen if she had been married before or if she had a child already?
As long as before, you need to eat it. If I were to remarry, the second family I'm married into must introduce me to their ancestors to join me as I partake in the new family ritual.
Okay.
So, being a divorced woman and I'm marrying again, I'll eat it again. If I, in the end, with Umtwana, I will have to do it because I was never given it when I had a child. So it will remain a must at every time of my life. If the second time around or the first time around with a child.
Gogo, we're going to have to leave it there as we have run out of time. But thank you so much for just educating us on the Utsiki ceremony. In the next hour of the show, Wendy Nola, our youth takeover continues. So we'll have another sports bulletin. It's 2:00.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. KwaZulu-Natal police say they are not willing to conduct an investigation based on speculation following allegations that the man who housed the main suspect in the Olerato Mongale case is part of a kidnapping syndicate. The main suspect, Philangenkosi Makhanya, was shot and killed by officers at a complex in Amazimtot in the south of Durban last week following a manhunt for his arrest over Mongale's murder. The 30-year-old was reported missing last month after going on a date with a man she'd recently met, and her body was found at Lombardy West in Johannesburg a day later. New information has now emerged that the man who is a tenant in the apartment where Makhanyana was killed was also part of the syndicate targeting girls. However, police say they need more than just speculations to build up a case. Ntlantla Mabaso has more.
Police say they are aware of the speculations that the man who accommodated Philangenkosi Makhanya was allegedly part of the syndicate. A number of women also took to social media saying the man who cannot be named is no victim, citing that they can recognize his voice from the media interviews he made. When asked about this, Police Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi had this to say.
The unfortunate part is until we have a case registered by someone and the investigation then points into this particular individual, only then we can be able to effect an arrest. It's always dangerous when people are going to make noise and yet they don't report to the police.
Mkhwanazi adds that speculations alone are not enough for the police to act.
So whoever is a victim of such an individual, they are welcome to go to the nearest police station.
Police say the man in question remains a witness in their ongoing investigation for now. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
Gauteng police say despite improved efforts to fight crime in the province, incidents of kidnapping remain stubborn. Provincial Police Commissioner Toby Mtombeni delivered the fourth quarter crime statistics for the 2024-2025 financial year today. He says kidnappings increased by more than 15% during this period. Mtombeni says a majority of these cases are linked to hijacking, robbery, extortion and human trafficking.
Through our collaboration and through the link of the National Anti-Kidnapping Team Counterintelligence, the province has arrested 88 suspects linked to 62 cases of kidnapping and rescued 77 victims of kidnapping during the period under review.
Mtombeni adds a multi-pronged response system is in place to deal with the issue.
We are able to deploy the technology resources from Business Against Crime South Africa links to the security industry as we utilize the security officers as a force multiplier when conducting the takedowns for the majority of the operations for these kidnappings.
Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero has announced the formation of the city's bomb squad, a team headed by ANC veteran Snooki Zikalala. The task team consists of seasoned public servants brought in to rescue the metro from its current state of decline. Its main objective is to oversee and ensure the effective implementation of the city's service delivery plans. Morero formally launched the bomb squad and introduced its members during a media briefing held in Soweto today. Alpha Ramushana is there.
ANC Veterans League President and former SABC Head of News Snooki Zikalala has been given the challenging responsibility of helping restore Johannesburg to its former glory. Mayor Dada Morero has unveiled a team of public servants who'll work alongside Zigalala as part of the city's newly formed bomb squad.
Members of the Johannesburg bomb squad will comprise of Mr. Blake Lefatula, Mr. Mavela Dlamini, former city manager and executive of the city of Johannesburg, Mr. Trevor Fowler, former city manager of Johannesburg and executive.
Most of these officials are already employed in Johannesburg or other municipalities. Murero says Zigalala will be the only member receiving a salary, while the rest of the team is volunteering their services. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Soweto.
Cape Town International Jazz Festival founder Rashid Lombard is being laid to rest in Cape Town today. The cultural activist and jazz promoter died yesterday at the age of 74. Lombard worked as a photographer during the 80s and 90s, documenting the country's most historic moments. He's been described as a patriot who used his camera as a weapon against apartheid. South African singer-songwriter Sipho Hotstix Mabuse.
You know, speaking about Rashid is more than just speaking about a photographer, but it's also speaking about an activist, someone who is committed to the liberation and freedom struggle of our country and our people. And the fact that Rashid was committed to music as well, particularly jazz.
Mabuse says he's grateful that paths crossed.
For me to have had the kind of relationship with Rashid was really, really gratifying, because at some stage he offered me his book, which he signed, you know, Jazz Rocks. And I've had a relationship with Rashid way before he even started with the jazz festival.
And China's foreign ministry says it opposes politicizing education cooperation. This comes at the back of U.S. President Donald Trump's suspension of foreign students seeking to study or participate in exchange programs at Harvard University for 6 months. The White House claimed Harvard was the top overseas party school for Chinese Communist Party officials. China says educational cooperation between the two countries is mutually beneficial, and moves made by the U.S. will only harm its own image and international credibility. Gold's trading at $3,394.45 an ounce. The rand's at 17.74 to the dollar, at 24.07 to the pound, at 20.27 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $65.03 a barrel.
On our roads, Yana Ayakwi, we've got that crime scene. Good news, police were very active and swift in neutralizing that. N1 North, just after Winnie Mandela Drive. So please still expect some heavy delays all the way from the Randburg region at Malibongo Drive. If you press for time, use the M1 Mike 1, and then you could also use Rivonia Road or even Witkopp and Northumberland Avenue in Ekurhuleni. That incident appears to still be active. Elands interchange, the carriageway was temporarily opened just for emergency personnel to make their way, but we're back up to those delays. N3 South passing through Elands Haven, as well as the N17 West started to see an improvement, while in the nation's capital, look out for some roadworks taking place. This is on the R21 northbound just before Van Ryneveld. That's in Waterkloof Centurion. Please expect delays.
A look at your weather. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures are peaking at highs of 18 and 19 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. KwaZulu-Natal police say they are not willing to conduct an investigation based on speculation following allegations that the man who housed the main suspect in the Olarato Mongale case is part of a kidnapping syndicate.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Your voice.
Your station, 702.
We are listening to you. You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide.
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7.
And 106 FM.
Nine minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 7:02 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. And we do what we do on a Thursday. Wendy Nola's in the building to tackle consumer rights issues. 011 8830702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons, the WhatsApp line 0727021702. And it's not just going to be opening up the lines to your consumer rights feature. We've got feedback from the balloon payment case, and our youth takeover Thursday continues with our very first sport presenter, Rubarashe Marumo, who has done her first bulletin. She's got all of your love. She will be back after Eyewitness News headlines at 1:30 to do her final bulletin for all of you. Please keep sharing the love and also just keep listening in and supporting. I cannot imagine at 18 years, some of us were still doing other things, and this madam is already, I promise you, she's not a pro. We didn't cheat the system. She's a youth who got an opportunity, and we are all so excited here in studio. So keep listening.
702.
Nola knows.
Wendy Nola time on a Thursday with Wendy Nola on Nola Knows. 011 8830702. The WhatsApp line 072702 and 702. Wendy, how are you doing?
I'm fine as somebody who left youth behind many moons ago.
Well, we are having our sport presenter youth today, and she did her very first bulletin, and she will be coming back just before after the news. And yeah, we are very, very excited, and we'll be doing this every Thursday. So you're going to get to hear a new voice on the station. So let's jump into it.
Fabulous, yes.
Wendy, one day we need to find a consumer youth to come and stand in with you.
Yeah, that's the plan, but I don't know how to make it happen logistically. Anyway, we are reporting back on the case of a listener who called into the show 3 weeks ago today to say that he'd received a demand to pay a balloon payment of 100,000 Rand. And I get this a lot. And what normally happened is the person actually signed a balloon payment contract, but they weren't really paying attention. The salesman maybe didn't explain it properly or at all in some extreme cases. But they just signed where they were asked to sign, and it says, okay, you're going to pay 71 payments of 7,000 Rand or whatever, and then one final payment of 90,000 or whatever the case may be. And they didn't pay attention. They didn't worry about it. It was a 72-month contract, and the problem then bit them only, at the very end, 6 years later, right? So I thought that's what our caller was going to say, but it was actually a scenario that I'd never come across before, that had never been brought up with me. And that is, he said, no, they're holding me responsible for 100,000 Rand. I finished paying up the car, and I think it was end of last year, November last year, somewhere around there. And they when I say show me the contract, they don't show it to me. So let's maybe cast our minds back 3 weeks and listen to a bit of that conversation.
Lucas from Pretoria, you bought a car in 2018 after paying it off last year, November. What happened?
Good afternoon, and thanks for taking my call.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I bought the car last year. I'm saying 2018, and then I finished paying it last year. Mm-hmm. So then in November, I got a letter, an email from the lawyers from this, bank. From the bank, yes, saying that I have to pay 100,000 or make arrangement for to pay the outstanding balance. Then I asked what is actually
tell
happening.
Me. Balloon payment.
And then they said no, it's balloon payment. I said no, but I didn't apply for balloon payment. Even the contract that I have here, it doesn't talk anything about the balloon payment. Then I actually asked them to actually give me the contact person at this company, the dealership. Yeah. Then they gave me the name of a certain lady. Then I tried, I called. Unfortunately, I couldn't get through to that person. Each time when I was calling, the call was just ringing. Then I went back to the bank again and said, no, can you kindly give me, I said to the lawyers, can you kindly give me the another person that I can talk to, because this person I can't get hold of her. Then the lawyers contacted the dealership, and then I got an email from because what I wanted to get to understand what what is it all about, this balloon thing, because I never applied for a balloon a contract. I said, can you give me a copy of that balloon contract, because what I'm having here is not what you guys are talking about. So this person got the contract from the dealership or from
So Lucas, take us to the main crux of where you are, because we're running out of time.
The dealership send you a contract that had a balloon payment on it?
No, they haven't. I've requested for it. I couldn't get anything. I called them. I even went to their headquarters. I had meetings, and then I was promised that they revert back to me. They'll talk to their bosses.
This is very strange. Okay, let me cut to the chase here. So I often get cases where people didn't have a.
All right, so Wendy, that was the call that we had. So what happened after that? Because of course we had to do the whole let's take it off air, send you all the details. What happened?
Okay, so he did as he said, or as I asked him to do. Lucas sent me emails explaining it all in writing, and he said no. He sent me his contract that was signed in 2018, and it certainly didn't have a balloon payment. He was due to pay something like 11,000 Rand a month. It was an upmarket car for the 72 months, and he'd done that. And the 72 months were up, and it certainly said there was no payment, no final balloon payment payable. So I thought, this is very odd. Okay, so there is a backstory here, which I didn't know when I sent my initial email to the financing bank to say, on what basis are you now, because I've seen a contract, it doesn't have anything about a balloon. And I've asked, was there a second contract that maybe overrode the first one? And I was told no. So what is your legal basis then for this, your attorney's demand for 100,000 Rand at this point? And then she got back to me to say it's settled. And I thought, okay, this is odd. All right. So of course I go back to Lucas. And then I get the full story, which is, I've never heard of anything like this in all my years of consumer journalism. So a year after he took out this contract, the one we're talking about with no balloon payment, he wrote a letter to the bank to say, we need to restructure this because this monthly repayment is too high. Can we reduce it by 3,000 Rand? They said no. And they said, what about we reduce it by 1,000 Rand? He said no. And it seems they offered him a balloon deal, and he said no, over the phone. And he said, I want to see it all in writing. I want to see the full implications, that I don't like the sound of a balloon payment. But obviously something had to change if he's going to pay less, right? But no documentation was ever forthcoming, and he certainly didn't sign anything. So the only documentation around this deal was the original deal that he signed in 2018 with no balloon payment. But here's the thing. They actually did drop his monthly installments, about 2,000 Rand. And that's why there was this 100K still owing at the end of the deal. But there was no paperwork. Someone slipped up on the bank side. And so when I innocently said, well, what's going on here? Where's the proof? They must have thought, okay, well, there actually isn't any contract that is underlying or would support our legal demands here. So they wrote, it's finished. They wrote it off. Look, Lucas, so he got a big luck because someone slipped up. He did end up paying in the finance deal. He paid more than double than the retail price for the car. So he didn't get a free car by any means, but he got lucky because there was someone went ahead with this deal without making sure that the new contract was sent to him and signed and all sealed and done. So what do you think of that?
This is absolutely wild. So let's take a moment. We need to
Just
take a
wild.
break. And then when we come back, we chat more about it. 011 883 0702. The WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
It took time to create the life you've built. Every milestone, every moment, you've earned it. Indra takes the time to understand what's priceless to you, tailoring insurance to match a life of distinction. True peace of mind comes from knowing that everything you've worked for is insured with precision. It starts with a conversation. It starts with helloindra.co.za. Indra Risk Services is an authorized financial services provider.
It's that time of the year. Sore throats, congestion, wet and dry coughs, pain and fever. For trusted relief for you and your family, ask your pharmacist to recommend a winter survival pack from the Adcock Ingram OTC range. With products like Medikil A, Expigen, Corenza Parac, Adconapamol, Dilinct Junior and more, we have you covered this winter. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Every small business owner knows that you got to dream big to achieve even bigger. And Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 understands that it takes guts and determination to show up for your customers and expand your business and your bottom line. That's why we're looking for all the SMEs of Gauteng that dare to reinvent, expand, and shake things up. You could win 200,000 Rand in cash and a 200,000 Rand advertising package to help you chase your small business dreams. So if you're a small business that dares to level up, enter on igniteyourbusiness.co.za for Nedbank Business Ignite on 702. T's and C's apply. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
Nola knows.
22 minutes after 2 o'clock, we are chatting to Wendy Nola in our consumer rights feature, Nola Knows. Your calls on 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. We've been having a conversation about a balloon payment that suddenly became an issue that was not even really supposed to be there. And I actually see here, Wendy, there's a WhatsApp message from someone who says, something similar happened to me. However, the bank has flagged me and I cannot buy another vehicle on finance. So what needs to happen?
Well, I would like to hear from that listener if it is indeed similar, because the bottom line is that, well, I mean, I do feel a bit conflicted about this, because Lucas had to know that something had been restructured when his monthly repayment dropped by around 2,000 Rand a month. But the point is that all our financial dealings with companies have to be underpinned by a mandate, by a contract. So either a physical contract or a call recording or something. He had to have agreed to that, and he hadn't agreed to it. And so legally, you know, often consumers are on the other end of this, where they were promised something verbally and they can't prove it, and then only what's in the contract stands. And so this is the other side of the coin. He was spared 100,000 Rand balloon payment because they hadn't done the paperwork. They hadn't signed and sealed the deal. And we're not naming the companies involved, the dealership or the financing house, because I've seen the settlement, which Lucas shared with me. The company didn't share with me. They just said we've settled. But it says it very clear language that one of the terms of the settlement is that the write-off is done on condition that he never discusses or discloses the details of the agreement. So we haven't named him, we haven't named the company, we're telling the story, it's an actual story, all of it is true, but just to preserve that settlement, we're not going to name the parties. But if it's happened to another listener, please email me, because if it's the same story as in Lucas's case, where there isn't a firm agreement signed to underpin the demands that they're now making, or the credit bureau listing, then I'd be happy to challenge that as well.
Okay, thank you so much for that one. So what is the key takeaway here, Wendy, just in terms of what could have been done or what one can look out for?
Well, what normally happens, as I said right at the beginning, is that people, especially first-time buyers, they want a new car, and the only way that they can get to the monthly installment that they can actually afford is for a balloon payment to happen. So that's when up to 40%, which is a lot, of the total financed amount, so the selling price of the car plus all the extras plus the interest and all of that 40% of that figure gets carved out and put to one side for you to worry about like 6 years later, which might seem like a good idea. We love to defer bad things, and that way you get the number down to an installment you can afford. Because if you had to finance the whole amount without carving out that so-called balloon, your installment, as we saw in Lucas's case, would be quite a bit higher. The problem is that carved out amount, which has already got interest added into it to get to it, right? That's now attracting its own interest from day one. Now, 6 years later, it's, that impacts on how much interest you're going to pay over the deal. So if you're financing, say, a 200,000 Rand car at a 10% interest rate, and you opt for even a 20% balloon, most people will take much higher than that. Then over the term, 6-year term, you're going to be paying 10,000 Rand more in interest. So it's an you're paying so much more interest if you do that. And the other thing is that, so now you get to the end of the 7 years or 6 years, say, and now you've got choices. You're going to got to pay it off in a lump sum. Most people won't have that amount, or you got to refinance it. So that's would be the interest on interest. But a lot of people's, circumstances change over those 6 years, and now they don't qualify for finance anymore. So now what? Now you trade in the car, and according to Standard Bank, about more than 96% of its balloon customers, when they get to the end of that period, instead of having to deal with that carved out amount at 40%, they will trade in, right? So they trade in and get another car. And that is fine until the day comes when you no longer qualify for finance for whatever reason. You're too old, your credit score is not good enough. Now you got to sell that car because you got no other way, or you trade it in. But it's, at some point, trade-ins involve finance, and if you don't qualify, then you're left with very little equity in the car, right? Very little money out of that whole thing with which to get another car. So I just think my bottom line is, if you can't afford to finance a car without carving out 40%, 30%, whatever, of that finance amount to worry about down the line, you can't actually afford that car. So rather get a cheaper car or a second-hand car, or, there are lots of options. But I really, really am not in favor. And obviously, because I hear about the cases that go wrong. I'm really not in favor of a balloon deal. The dealerships and the finance houses, rather, had to come up with it because new cars got too expensive for most people. That's essentially what happened. Even little cheapy, like entry level, looking 200K. And so the balloon payment was born, and it's increasing in popularity because that's the only way people can afford the cars. But I'm saying maybe look secondhand. Maybe look for a good secondhand car. Get it checked out, as we're always saying on the show. Make sure you're not buying someone else's big problem. But yeah, balloon payments really, really, really dangerous in my opinion.
Extremely. Also, because it's kind of like you forget about it and then it becomes this absolutely massive shock. So we will continue with our consumer rights feature, NOLA Knows. Get your calls in on 011 883 702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. We also continue with our Youth Takeover Thursday. Ruvarashe is back in studio. Ma'am, are you ready?
I am ready.
You are ready.
Let's do it.
I have to tell you the breaking sport news. Martina Hingis has just announced her return to professional tennis.
Yay!
That is the breaking news. Martina Hingis has announced her return to professional tennis. Do with that what you need to. Oh, it's 2:30. Time for your latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. KwaZulu-Natal police say they are not willing to conduct an investigation based on speculation following allegations that the man who housed the main suspect in the Olarato Mongale case is part of a kidnapping syndicate. The main suspect, Pilangenkosi Makanya, was shot and killed by officers at a complex in Amazimdot in the south of Durban last week following a manhunt for his arrest over Mongale's murder. 30-year-old was reported missing last month after going on a date with a man she'd recently met, and her body was found at Lombardy West in Johannesburg a day later. And in the Western Cape, forensic investigations are underway to determine the circumstances behind a fatal tree fall in Cape Town's Company Gardens. A 59-year-old woman died when an oak tree toppled over during the Slave Route Challenge on Sunday. The tree struck the runner 4 kilometers into the race. And noting a level 2 travel advisory issued by the United States for travel to South Africa, Tourism Minister Patricia de Lille says visitor safety remains her department's top priority. The U.S. government issued the travel advisory last week, just 6 days after the president visited the White House and members of the delegation spoke about crime in the country. De Lille says despite the country's crime challenges, the overwhelming majority of international visitors travel safely and leave the country with positive and enriching experiences. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 3 o'clock or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
A very good afternoon. Let's start in Johannesburg. The one persistent issue from the late morning until now is that crime scene in Sandton on the N1 North, just after Winnie Mandela Drive. Still heavy delays from Malibongwe Drive. Get off at Malibongwe, use Northumberland and Vidikoppen Road. Main Road is also an alternative from Fisher Drive, Rivonia Road, so please drive with care. Now, the alternative routes are obviously going to be seeing heavy traffic pressure. Vidkoppen Road crawling in both directions in Paulshof, so that's between Rivonia Road and Main Road also seeing bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards the Prison Break Market. So that's getting into the Midrand region, getting out of Sandton. Look out for some pressure still in Ekurhuleni. This is at the Elons interchange. N3 South is the one that's slow now. N17 is free-flowing. And then staying in Ekurhuleni, stop-and-go traffic in Birchley, R25 Modderfontein Road, westbound towards the city of Johannesburg, while in Tshwane, Doornpoort Toll Plazas, seeing some high traffic volumes heading east. If I've missed anything, please SMS on 31702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. EWN Sport.
Oh, time for the sport. Oh my gosh, I'm such a fan of Martina Hingis. Grew up watching her. I am a tennis lover myself. I cannot wait to hear what's happening. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, my name is Ruvarashe Marumo. Starting in Europe, it comes at no surprise that Cristiano Ronaldo scored the winning goal last night as Portugal beat Germany in the National League's semi-finals as the game finished 2-1. It was the 40-year-old's 137th international goal in 220 caps and his 937th strike in all football. Switching to road running, where the 98th Comrades Marathon will take place this weekend on Sunday, with 22,677 runners participating. Gerda Steyn won the women's race last year. In other news, Sasha Feinberg Ngomezulu does it again by being crowned the SA United Rugby Championship Player of the Season. He adds this accolade to his SA Rugby Player of the Year award at only age 23. At the same time, Rassie Erasmus has named his 54 players Springbok squad for the international season, which kicks off on the 28th of June against the Barbarians. And lastly, Coco Gauff defeated Madison Keys at Roland Garros to book a second consecutive semi-final appearance at the tournament. She will face the French player Louise Buisson in the last four today. Breaking news we got in, retired Martina Hingis returns to professional tennis. She retired in 2007 due to her injuries and being in constant pain.
Yo, I cannot wait to hear more on that. Thank you for the sport.
Every time we're on the radio, we're not just talking.
We're turning words into actions.
Actions that change communities. Actions that make a difference. And every time you tune into 702, you're not just listening to the radio. You're in conversation with us.
And your voice matters. You're on a journey with us. And every step we take counts.
It's these steps that not only help us grow as individuals, but also bring us together as a society.
Through the good times and the bad.
Every step gets us closer to the South Africa we want to be. So keep walking with 702 and let's make this a journey to remember.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Remember when we were rocking just one bike, dreaming big for our delivery business?
Those days. Now we're here with a whole fleet of vans and trucks.
That's why it's important to have the right partner in your corner.
Of course, we owe to My Way Business Insurance. They've been our go-to for comprehensive cover, protecting our fleet while we deliver excellence.
Talk about going from pedal power to horsepower.
Move your business to My Way and get cover for your vans and trucks. Visit myway.co.za for a quote and do business your way. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's apply.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
Time to get Avolicious, because they're just so nutritious. From delectable toast to fab salads, everybody loves Avos because they're super versatile. Plus, they're high in heart-healthy fats, vitamin K, and biotin, free from cholesterol and sodium, and can form part of a successful energy-controlled diet for weight management. And remember, green skin Avos remain green, while dark skin Avos turn purple-black when ripe. For Avolicious recipes and more info about the South African Avocado Growers Association, visit avocado.co.za.
Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive with John Perlman is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. John, I mean, I know your show's going to be busy, but what do you think of our newest member of the team for the day?
Oh, I think it's fabulous. It's brilliant what you're doing. And, you know, got to start somewhere. First show on 702. We all had our first show on 702 at some point. Mine was reading sport.
We just
way back when. I can tell you
her
exactly
off.
When. 1990.
Yes. 1990. You were a mere speck in the mind. Of the universe. At the time, at only 18 years old, got to do her first sport bully. But I thought, before John tells us what's coming up on his show, what tip can you give her as a budding sportscaster?
Fish gotta swim. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
There's the first one, then there's the second one.
Yes.
Then there's the third one. And before you know it, you're on 10 and you're doing things you didn't know you could do. And then you're on your way. But there will be potholes and you'll go around them, through them, fix the odd tire from time to time, but you're on the road.
Absolutely.
Good luck with it.
Love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. What's coming up on your show for today?
So Gauteng crime stats are out. We're going to get analysis of those at 10 minutes past 4. By the way, good afternoon, listeners. I forgot to greet you in the midst of all the excitement here. There's a company called Fidelity that is going to all over the country and in increasing numbers of municipalities offer private solutions to fire services. Very relevant in a city like Johannesburg, where we don't have anywhere near the number of fire engines that we need. That is a long story which I won't get into, but we'll talk to Fidelity CEO Val Bartman about that at 20 minutes past 4. Today is World Environment Day. Ending plastic pollution is the theme. How are we doing as a country at trying to achieve some of those lofty goals? And then I want to have a conversation about the Ministry of Sport, i.e. you and me, because it's not their cash that they got on YouTube tips. It's actually money they got from us. 90 million rand is going to go towards implementing VAR in the PSL. Now, I'm all for implementing VAR in the PSL if that's what people think they need to do. But I don't think it should be on my, Americans have a better expression, not on my dime.
John Pullman.
Not on our rand.
We have a very seasoned sports presenter in studio, an 18-year-old youth. How do you feel about 90 million rands of taxpayers' money being spent on VAR?
Insane. Absolutely insane. I'm at a loss for words.
So, yeah. So we're going to be finding out
We'll
John
find
Pullman.
someone who's got the words. We're trying to get the... We're trying to get the Ministry of Sport to come on, but I
Yes.
agree with you. I mean, it's one of those things where you just go, sorry, what?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe there are only two words, sorry, what? But we'll flesh that out after 5 o'clock. I think it's an important conversation. All that and a whole lot more on 702 Drive.
And I just have a question from a technical perspective of how VAR works. Because for me as a TV producer and director, my understanding is you were rolling anyways on those 12 to 18 cameras. So all it is a replay from something that exists. Why is it a 90 mil?
No. I mean, we've had a very good breakdown of the costs. I mean, it's not just the footage. There's a whole lot of tools. There's training of people to administer it. There's an excellent guy. We may have him on the show either today or tomorrow. Nobile Ndlovu is an analyst of business in sport, and he's done a very, very serious analysis of why it costs what it does.
So it's not the eye drops and glasses that everyone's going to need to look and check.
Yeah. And, and your money when you make a mistake.
702 Drivers, John Pullman coming up from 3 to 6 p.m.
This June, 702 celebrates the youth of 1976.
Let's walk the talk.
19 minutes to 3 o'clock. We are going to continue shortly with Wendy Nola, but very quickly, our guest presenter, sports presenter, how are you feeling, Ruva?
Shucks, eh?
Why are you shocked?
I think doing it the second time was to take, critique and to make it better. But wow, breaking news.
Yep.
Threw me off a little bit.
And the best part is you didn't even know who Martina Hingis is.
Not a clue.
All right. So what did you learn from, before you get the feedback, what did you learn from that little experience that you just had now?
Well, first of all, say the breaking news first. I don't know why I went on all of my points here and then decided to say it last, even though I obviously just got it. So I need to bounce off of the other presenter, obviously.
Yes.
And start with the breaking news. But also just relax. Oh my gosh, relax, calm down. It's not that deep.
Yes.
And also, obviously, I've just received the information to just say what I know and keep it going.
Well done. You did a fantastic job. You know the other things you didn't do. Mentor, final feedback?
Honestly, you have to roll with the punches. John said it best. Yeah. I was even saying right now, like off air, like sometimes you'll be watching, be like, oh, I didn't know that. And now you have to think on your feet, even if it's just like a one line. But also, just because one random Twitter account tweeted it, doesn't. We didn't say Relebogile's news was true. You could have just said,
exactly.
We're seeing the reports, Relebogile, but we still don't have confirmed information. But we'll be back with an update in the next. There's nothing wrong with saying we are aware what you guys are talking about, but we also still have to verify because it's not about being first, it's about being correct.
And remember, for me, I have a different license as a radio host. I'm not a journalist.
Right.
So I have the license to say, Mvangeli, I'm hearing about 7 trucks crashed on the what. And he will say, we'll have a look into it. I'll make sure we're the first to come back to you.
Okay.
So even when I say, it seems breaking news, Martina Hingis, and you then off air said, is it real or is it not? And we just said, well,
no.
Yes. Understand. So well done. You've done a fantastic job. You are going to stick around with us for the remainder of the show. Chief Mentor.
Thank you. And to your last point, when you said, is it important for people to get a degree? That's the importance of it, of when's the right time to know whether information is true or not, how to investigate that information and make sure that when you come on air, you can back it up and say, we know for a fact this is happening.
And EWN prides itself in being credible. So we don't rush to be the first to break news. We rush to be the first to deliver accurate news that we can stand by and have verified ourselves. So what would have happened is then you would have ran upstairs, you would have made sure that you spoke directly, and you would have sourced a clip to say, Relebogile, I know it's a rumor, but hey, this is her manager, and this is what he has to say. Make sense?
I see, yes, thank you.
Well done. We take a break. When we come back, Wendy Nola.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult, day 3,268. I love payday because my salary would look huge to 15-year-old me, but that's in 2011 money, not 2024 money. 28-year-old me is not so easily impressed.
Recently removed from the family payroll? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's like 570 Rand a month, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Choose Checkers, SA's #1 in value supermarket, and save on deals like Fanta Sprite Stony or Schweppes cold drink 2 litres, any 2 for 32 Rand. Nivea body lotion or cream 400 mils, any for 56.99. And beef oxtail for 98.99 per kilo. Valid until this Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
Specsavers Audiology, South Africa's largest audiology group, brings you the all-new Clarity Pro rechargeable hearing aids. Experience cutting-edge features at a price you can afford. For a limited time only, buy one Clarity Pro rechargeable hearing aid and get 50% off the second. You heard right. Buy one and get 50% off the second. Visit specsavers.co.za to find your nearest store and ask for Clarity Pro today. Specsavers Audiology. Test your hearing and join the conversation. T's and C's apply.
702.
Nola knows.
14 minutes to 3 o'clock. Wendy Nola, sorry for stealing your time, but I think it was for a really
it was a
good
fascinating
cause.
listen. Yes, and I loved the mature sort of introspection about what worked and what didn't work. I mean, that alone says she's going to go places, in my opinion.
Right?
For an 18-year-old, it's quite astonishing. So well done.
Absolutely
I just
well
want to
done.
say something. If I can get back to my balloons, I just want to say something for those people listening that maybe have a balloon contract, is if you want to pay less interest and you're in a position where you can pay a bit extra, you can pay extra amounts in, but don't just pay. So you've got a debit order for your installment and that's going, and now you want to pay an extra like 1,000 Rand here or 500 Rand there, whatever. You don't just put that into the account without saying anything. You must explicitly request that those payments you're making, those extra payments, need to offset the balloon amount. Otherwise, those additional amounts will be put towards the principal debt, and they will have no impact on that saved little carved off balloon payment that you are now trying to reduce so that you pay less interest. So it's a really good tip. It actually comes from Standard Bank Vehicle and Asset Finance, but and I've had this issue with other finance payments where someone trying to pay down their Truist account, I remember was the case, and it didn't go to the right place. You have to specifically say, this is what I want you to do with this extra payment, and the two together will save you a lot of interest over the term.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Wendy. 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line 072-7021-702. We're going to Zwelakhe in Sandton. Zwelakhe, you bought a car, and what happened after that?
Hi, yes. So I bought a car, pre-owned car, December 2023, financed through my bank. Within a month of buying that car, I started experiencing, a myriad of mechanical issues. I took the car back to the dealership. They claimed that they fixed it. A couple of weeks later, I had the same problems. We did that back and forth a few times until they told me I've worn my warranty out. They made me buy an add-on warranty. So I started incurring the repair costs personally. Yes, I incurred to date about 100,000 rand in repairs, and the car is still not okay. So 2 weeks back, I had to take it in for another repair, and I thought, let me take a shot in the dark. I found the previous owner's numbers on the service book. I called the previous owner and asked him, hey, I have 1, 2, 3 issues. Did you have these problems? And the guy, to my shock and horror, told me, I didn't have those problems, and I don't know if you know, but I wrote that car off. I was in quite a high-speed accident, wrote the car off, airbags deployed. I was paid out in full. The car was written off as beyond economical repair. I did not know this. This was a shock to me. So I went back to the dealership to go tell them this, and the guy, not so many words, the dealer principal, told me to go fly a kite because I bought the car in 2023, and now I'm coming to them in 2025. So he said I should go take it up with the ombudsman. So I'm in a position where I'm just stuck. This thing has been a black hole for my money, and I don't know what to do.
Yo.
That's awful. I'm so sorry that happened to you. So we can go back to what we keep saying on this show. People like Malcolm KV of You For You, and there are others, companies that will check out a car and they would have found out that that car was written off before you made the deal, and you could have spared yourself all of this. That when you say you worn the warranty out, that's an interesting choice of words. You bought the car in 2023. At what point, in which month did they tell you to go away with you're going to have to now buy another warranty or something?
Maybe around March. This was the second or third time I brought the car back in.
Okay. So everybody remember that was the car out of its manufacturer's warranty when you bought it?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So dealerships love to say you've got to buy this extra warranty. That's trying to negate their obligation in terms of the Consumer Protection Act to pay for all repairs to defects that develop in those first 6 months. They are obliged to pay for them. So by March, you're with only halfway into your CPA government legislated warranty. You had another 3 months to go. So that was the first problem there. You shouldn't have had to look anywhere else for help. They should have fixed those problems. And yeah, I think email me because I can see a lot of issues here. Let me ask you in your email, because I see we're running out of time quickly. In your email, I want you to explain to me exactly what you would consider to be a reasonable settlement right now, whether it's you want them to compensate you for repairs that you had to pay for in those first 6 months, or whether it is they must take the car back. It's very difficult with a car that's now, what is it, 18 months old? No. Yes. Is that 18 months old? About 18 months old, because they can deduct mileage rates for the kilometers that you've done in the car, and then it starts getting into a very big amount, and it starts making no financial sense for that to happen. But I do feel that the dealers should have taken some responsibility. What I know for sure is that if you had taken that car to trade it in, they would have found out that it was written off and either reject the car or want to pay you very little for it, right? But they don't, somehow they're in the dark. They never know. When they sell the car, they know nothing. They don't know. So this is a big problem. But start by emailing me and, yes?
So I did do a check on the car. Yes, on any database that it's been written off. I did quite an extensive due diligence before I bought the car. It appears on no database that the car is written off.
That is interesting. Okay. So I'm going to call in Malcolm once I get your email, and the two of us will put our heads together and see what we can do and how I can approach the dealership and try and get some form of recourse for you. Okay.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Zwelakhe. I'm going to pass you back on to our producer to see how it is that we are able to, I hope you're able to get assisted there. There's another person, Wendy, on the WhatsApp line who's like, I also need help with the balloon payment situation. So just to close that off, and I know you touched on it, I know there's quite a lot of fine print that you receive when it comes to contracts. The beauty is now we have your ChatGPTs and PDFs that can summarize, and you can even say, what do I need to be aware of in this contract, as opposed to not reading it at all?
That is such good advice.
Right?
That's such good advice. Please understand that this technology is it's sort of like it's like a teenager that you kind of will get it right sometimes and maybe not other times. So I would say always double check. But what it's good for, and I had someone who was helping not long ago, a couple of weeks ago. He and I were engaging with the bank about the same issue, trying to understand something about his home loan and the amount that, how they got to the deductions that they're making. And he actually used an AI engine to actually turn the legalese language into something he could understand. And this is somebody that writes for a living, right? So it's really interesting. And I also had someone for the first time who was having a situation with a car that was being repaired, and he didn't feel he was being treated fairly. And he asked ChatGPT what they for its view, based on the norms of good service here and abroad, what do you think would be fair? Are they being fair? Am I wrong? And then sent to me what the answer was, and I sent it to the dealership, and it was actually very interesting because he was saying maybe people, before they write to you, Wendy Nola, maybe they should run this past AI and see what is fair, what they should, what they are fairly legitimately entitled to ask for from a company, etc., etc. And I thought that's not a bad idea. Sometimes they're going to get it wrong, but it's not a bad starting point. It's like asking someone that's not in the room with you, that's actually a computer. It's asking them for help and advice on the situation, and used correctly, I think it could be really useful.
Wendy Nola, thank you so much for joining us. Back together next time.
Indeed.
Hi, I'm Lewis Hamilton. Victory demands everything, but the journey is never solo. My team carves the way, data and innovation are my compass. This is how today's champions are made.
Drive your success and trade like a champion. CFI, a global leading broker now in South Africa. Access over 15,000 instruments, advanced trading tools, 24/7 support, and superior trading services. Visit cfi.trade today. CFI Financial is an authorized financial services provider.
CFI, empower yourself.
Kickstart your small business with a starter bundle from Nedbank. Enjoy free transactions for 6 months, including free cash deposits and withdrawals, and a free debit card with easy digital access and a dedicated banker to guide you along every step of the way. Open a Nedbank starter bundle with SA's best bank for SMEs. Apply on the Money app today. Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Spend your afternoon
With Relebogile Mabotja
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
We are closing out the show. We're going to be reading some messages that have come through from Relebogile Mabotja. You look nervous. Ruba, are you okay?
Hey. I am a little bit nervous.
Okay.
But I'm also excited, Shame. To hear what you have to say.
Good. So a message is saying, this is so brilliant. Anonymous in Kimpton Park. Why do you want to be anonymous to say brilliant? That is so random. Then they say, oh my gosh, young energy. Absolutely love it. Natasha Swartboy says, Lebo, your 18-year-old sport presenter was chef's kiss. Very, very cute. Absolutely love it. Another one says, I could feel her getting more confident as she read on. Looking forward to her next bully, as I believe she will completely own it. Another person says, keep up the good work, Relebogile and team. I give her a 5 out of 5. And then I'm leaving. Oh, another person says, Tolagele and Cindy Paluta must be very worried, because somebody has arrived. That's Lerato in 4 ways. Another message, guys, everybody telling me that they searched this Martina Hingis story.
Oh my God.
That's where it gets stress. Okay, everyone's like, it's not true. We can't. Is she coming as a commentator? Because we were such big fans of Martina Hingis, who was an absolute champion, 14, 15, 16 years old. Please know it was not a true story. This was just part of what we were doing today in helping to, throw you off and throw you in the deep end in today. What was your favorite part about today?
Shoo, that's a very difficult question. I mean, I think obviously I chose sports presenting and so I don't have much experience in that. And so I think my favorite part was learning and really understanding how everything works. And also, as scary as it was, the curveball. Hey, breaking news.
Yes, there's actually
I'm not going to forget that.
A tip here from Zeno who says, ooh, the team, Miss Marumo, definitely put you in a trap there concerning Martina Hingis. Always ask yourself this, has it been verified? If not, rather say it is alleged that Martina Hingis has come back from retirement. Otherwise, you are fantastic. But I left the best message. I think it's the best message for last. It says, I am the proud mom and avid listener of 702. I cannot emphasize enough how refreshing it is to hear my daughter's voice on my favorite radio station. I'm such a proud mom. Well done, Ruba, from Mona Claire.
Oh, that's so sweet. Could cry.
Did she say that she's going to be listening in?
She did. She wanted to. She was going to be stuck in the office, but she's like, I'm going to try my absolute best. And she did send me a message afterwards, so then I obviously knew that she listened.
Please share your social media with all the listeners.
My social media is ruva.marumo, so that's ruva.marumo.
Well done, girl. I am so proud of you. You have a whole demo.
Let's go.
It is 3:00.
This is EWN.
Former Zambian president dies and tourism minister reacts to America's level 2 travel advisory. Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. We begin with breaking news. Former Zambian President Edgar Lungu has died at the age of 69. His family has taken to social media to announce the news of his passing, saying only that he died in South Africa. Lungu served as Zambia's 6th president from 2015 to 2021. We'll have more on this story in our upcoming bulletins. KwaZulu-Natal police say they're not willing to conduct an investigation based on speculation following allegations that the man who housed the main suspect in the Olorato Mongale case is part of a kidnapping syndicate. The main suspect, Pilangenkosi Makhanya, was shot and killed by officers at a complex in Amazimdoti in the south of Durban last week following a manhunt for his arrest over Mongale's murder. The 30-year-old was reported missing last month after going on a date with a man she'd recently met, and her body was found at Lombardy West in Johannesburg a day later. New information has now emerged that the man who is a tenant in the apartment where Makhanya was killed was also part of the syndicate targeting girls.